Auburn, Maine, the city I like to call home, is a charming little town on the banks of the Androscoggin River, right next to its sister city, Lewiston. Auburn is a wonderful town, just a step away from some of the best skiing areas in the US, beautiful beaches, and towering mountains. Like all major cities, Auburn has a police department that enforces the law and keeps the town safe. This is the story of the Auburn Police Force. Before Auburn was incorporated, the town of Auburn employed constables to ensure law and order. They only worked during the day and were not a formal police force. The city of Auburn was fully incorporated on February 22, 1869, as said in this article.
As Auburn has accepted, quote, an act to incorporate the city of Auburn passed by the legislature of 1868, we give the following condensation of the provisions of that act, etc., etc., etc. Lewiston Evening Journal, February 23, 1869.
At that time, it was decided that the city should have a night police force. This consisted of 2 officers, one that worked during the day and one that worked at night. The first official police station and jail were located in the basement of Auburn Hall. By 1887, the Auburn Police Force grew to 4 officers patrolling in the daytime. As the city continued to grow, the duties of the force began to lengthen and complicate. By 1894, the cases involving women increased, and the police force needed someone to handle them properly. So the city of Auburn created the position of police matron and hired Maria W. Sweat, who held that position for the next 13 years. She was a pioneer of social welfare work, helping needy families in the city during times of crisis. All the police matrons who followed Mrs. Sweat continued her charitable work well into the 20th century. In 1897, the City Hall was moved to the Aunt Ora Davis House, and the police department moved there too. The first rule enforced by the Auburn Police Department that had to do with automobiles was an enactment of an order that the speed limit could not exceed 8 miles an hour. In 1918, police officers' pay was up by $5.05 a week. In 1920, the City Hall was moved to the Webster Grammar School, and like the last move, the police force tagged along. A motorcycle was purchased for the department in 1921, costing $400. People got annoyed when traffic signals were first installed, because they couldn't pass the red light even when there was no flow of traffic. In the later 20s, the Auburn Police installed a police call system that consisted of call boxes called the Gamble system. Now, officers could call into the station whenever and wherever they wanted on their own private line. A pretty major improvement to the system came in 1930, when the department started keeping accurate police records. They were short, simple, and got the point across. Chief Harry Rowe was appointed on January 4, 1923.
Harry W. Rowe of Auburn was Friday appointed Chief of the Auburn Police Department by Louis W. Haskell, Jr., City Manager. Lewiston Evening Journal, January 5, 1923.
This photograph, entitled Auburn's Finest, was taken in 1932 and depicts the department, including Lieutenant Ludger Boisvert, the officer who operated the force's motorcycle. During the devastating New Auburn fire of 1993, the officers of the Auburn Police Department held their ground and worked tirelessly to maintain law and order. The fire was so large that
Lewiston officials were worried that the heat and embers might ignite a large gas tanks of the Lewiston Gas Company facing New Auburn on the banks of the river. Lewiston Evening Journal, May 14, 1983.
In 1945, applicants for positions as patrolmen partook in a mental examination.
Mental examinations for appointment as patrolmen in the Auburn Police Department will be held at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Wartime, Friday, August 31, 1945, in the Council Room at the City Building. Lewiston Daily Sun, August 13, 1945.
Not all stories have a happy ending. The date of July 7, 1949 will be remembered in Auburn police history forever. Officer Norman Philbrick was attempting to guide two fire engines, one approaching from Lewiston and one from Auburn, but unfortunately the engines collided and he lost his life. A plaque commemorating Norman's heroic efforts was placed on the wall at Auburn City Hall, along with his mangled pistol. This is a picture of the police force in 1953. On a happier note, in 1964, the Auburn Police Department was the first police force in Maine to adopt portable walkie-talkies. In 1967, Auburn, Maine was awarded the All-America City Award. Auburn had been chosen along with 10 other cities in the United States to receive the award. Officers of the Auburn Police Department all wore All-American City patches on their left sleeves, proud of their contribution to the city winning the award. In 1974, the police department moved yet again, but this time it had its own private building on Minot Ave. When Norman Philbrick died in the line of duty, the whole department was scarred. The death of Rodney C. Bonney ensured that the scar would never heal. He was also an officer in the force and drowned when trying to save a teenager who had fallen into a frozen-over river on April 6, 1981. Today, the Auburn Police Department has 50 sworn-in officers, 2 of which are female officers. The size of the force hasn't changed much since the early 70s, even though their duties have increased exponentially. Last year, the department answered over 30,000 calls requiring police intervention.
50 sworn Auburn police officers and 7 civilian employees moved into their new space at Auburn City Hall in April of 2011. Sun Journal, January 29, 2012.
The same building they were originally stationed at in 1869. The building went through extensive renovation since the last time the police department called it home. Officers today claim that their station in the City Hall far surpasses that of their old building on Minot Ave. The modern facility includes a fully equipped workout room, paid for by the officers themselves. Also, a briefing room where they attend daily roll calls, and includes a smartboard, which far surpasses a whiteboard and increases efficiency. On the same floor, there is a weapons station and a locked armory. There is also a station for tasers, which have recently become the police's most valuable tool in law enforcement, allowing the officers to incapacitate suspects without using deadly force and preventing injuries to officers themselves. The police also have their own cordoned-off floor, unavailable to the public, which acts as a center of communications and investigations. The floor also includes the offices of the chief and other primary staff. The conference room on that floor is equipped with a satellite link to many other law enforcement agencies in the state and country. The Auburn Police Department is also in the process of creating a museum dedicated to the history of the force. It will soon be available for the general public. All present and future citizens of Auburn can sleep soundly knowing that a professional and dedicated organization called the Auburn Police Department is committed to their safety and well-being.
Born of a mother with the love of a father. Reflection comes and reflection goes. I know sometimes you wanna let go. Hey, 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 I know sometimes you wanna let go. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come?